Hey folks, welcome back to Honey Money SG. You know I have been using both Syfe Wealth and Syfe Trade for a few months right now. One of the most common questions people ask is Syfe Wealth versus Syfe Trade. Which is the cheapest and better platform to invest? I think there is no clear answer to that, but what I can tell you is if I base it on a few assumptions, then I could clearly see who is the winner. So in this video, let us explore some assumptions that you could use so that you can decide for yourself whether Syfe Trade is better or Syfe Wealth is better for you. So for this assumption, I'm going to invest in the S&P 500 because it's a broad-based index. It tracks the US largest 500 companies by market cap, and they also have to be profitable for consecutive few reporting periods. So I felt that investing in a broad-based ETF is a more average and more commonly accepted assumption. And let's assume that if you're investing in the S&P 500 ETF, you'll gain a 1.5% dividend yield per year. And we are going to use the same time period of 1 year with the same amount invested, which is $1,000. So let's start off with Syfe Wealth, right? Which is the select custom portfolio, whereby you can select some of the ETFs that you really like. But for the purpose of this assumption, I'm just going to select CSPX, which is the Ireland Domiciled S&P 500 ETF, which means it will give you 15% withholding tax instead of the 30% withholding tax if it is listed in the US. And this is actually a dividends accumulative ETF, which means the dividends will be reinvested. The expense ratio for CSPX is 0.07 per year. And for Syfe Wealth, Syfe Select Custom, they will actually charge you a 0.65 per annum annual fee to manage your portfolio. Now let's take a look at the next one, Syfe Trade. So for Syfe Trade, they will only allow you to trade in the US markets right now because they don't offer London Stock Exchange, Hong Kong Stock Exchange or Singapore Stock Exchange, right? So we have to buy tickers from the US trade market. And the only ticker that I would suggest you to buy from Syfe Trade for S&P 500 will be the VOO. So VOO is the dividends distributing ETF, which means that dividends will come up to you in cash. Now, whether you want to use the cash to withdraw out to pay for your expenses, or you want to use the cash to reinvest the business, you have to do a manual instruction for that. So VOO being US listed will incur a 30% withholding tax on the dividends. And it actually has a much lower expense ratio of 0.03% per annum. And because it's Syfe Trade, after the promo period, it will still offer you 2 free trades monthly. So assuming that you're just going to buy this one time, right, $1,000, so it will be commission free because you are using up your free trade for that month. Now let's explain a bit about the withholding tax impact. So for US listed securities, if you are actually a foreigner and you are investing in US traded security, the dividends will actually need to be withhold around 30%, which means if they give you $100 of dividends every year, then they will take back $30 and pay it to the US tax authority. Then the $70 remaining will go into your brokerage account. I think some people were really confused, right? Whether the withholding tax is on the whole capital. No, okay? If you sell away your entire investment, it will not have any capital gains tax on that. Can you imagine if withholding tax works on the capital gains, then there's no point, right? Because before you even start investing, you're losing 30%. So it doesn't make sense at all. So remember, dividends withholding tax only apply on the dividends. So let's take a look at the impact on CSPX. So CSPX being Ireland domicile only has 15% withholding tax, and you know that this S&P 500 ETF will yield around 1.5% return. So we take 15% multiplied by the 1.5% return, then that will give us a tax impact of around 0.225%. That's for CSPX. Now for VOO, it has a higher withholding tax impact, so we are going to take 30% multiplied by the 1.5% dividend yield, and that will give us 0.45%, which is double that of CSPX. So this is the difference in the withholding tax impact if we were to compare between CSPX and VOO. So let's take a look at the total expense that you will be incurring in 1 year if you invest in either CSPX or VOO. For CSPX, we will take the dividend withholding tax impact of 0.225%, adding the 0.07%, which is the expense ratio for CSPX, and adding the 0.65% per annum annual fees for Syfe Select Custom portfolio. So all these will total up to 0.945%. That is the total expense that you have to pay if you were investing using the Syfe Wealth platform on Syfe Select Custom, buying into CSPX and accounted for dividend withholding tax. Whereas for VOO, the dividend withholding tax is 0.45% of tax impact, adding to the 0.03% which is the expense ratio for VOO itself. So the total will be 0.48%. And you realize that if you're using Syfe Trade to invest in VOO, the 0.48% versus the 0.945% is almost 2x difference. So my conclusion here is that using Syfe Trade to invest in VOO is 2 times cheaper compared to what you would use Syfe Wealth to invest in CSPX. Now don't forget that the 0.65% on the Syfe Wealth is actually annually recurring. So what it means is that if your portfolio grows larger over time, your annual fees paid to Syfe based on the 0.65% actually goes significantly larger as well, and it's annually recurring, right? In fact, it's paid monthly, so you actually have to keep paying these fees. Whereas for Syfe Trade, you only need to make that one transaction and it's free anyway, so you don't incur any cost using up your free trades. So that is the cost difference that you have to calculate and make sure that which is a more advantageous situation for you. So does that mean that there's really no value using Syfe Wealth for Syfe Select Custom anymore? The answer is actually no, because Syfe Wealth actually still do offer a lot of various ETFs. If you really want to do like an ETF portfolio, right, Syfe Wealth can actually offer you so many different ETFs on the platform, so you don't actually have to buy into one specific counter like VOO. You can go and invest in other kind of thematic portfolio, right? Like if you prefer cybersecurity, you can go and search for a cybersecurity theme ETF. If you prefer ESG fund, you can go and search for an ESG ETF. So the value of Syfe Select Custom is still there. It allows you to select up to 8 ETFs so that you can actually fractionalize the trading, thereby diversify your trades even further. So that is the value of Syfe Select Custom. You can't really do that on Syfe Trade because every trade will incur costs after using up your 2 free trades per month, right? Suppose you want to buy another ETF in the US market, you have to use up your free trade again, and then the subsequent one will cost you $1.49. Now just to show an example of how Syfe Select Custom looks like, you can look at this demonstration that I'm going to show you how you can pick some of your ETFs from Syfe Select Custom. So you can choose from the trending, which one is trending at the current market stage. So I believe energy and oil are all really popular right now because they seem to be the one going up for the past few months compared to your tech stocks and your other kind of stocks that are getting hit by this inflation sentiment. So these are really some of the things that you can look at, and maybe you can look at some of the recommended one like real estate, value stocks, equal weight S&P 500. Or if you want to apply some filters like asset class, risk, geography, sector, then you can go and select all these things that you really like. Of course, you can only add up to 8 ETFs. That is the max that they can hold. So it really depends what is your investment objective, whether you want to invest in the whole diversification of funds using the Syfe Select Custom, and whether you want to use Syfe Trade, you just invest in a single fund. Now for myself, I invested in Google using the Syfe Trade, so it works out pretty well for me. It's just a single stock. I don't have to use up a lot of free trades for that. But I will still be holding on to my Syfe Select Custom portfolio because I'm just going to keep it there and then benchmark against the Equity 100 and the REIT Plus portfolio just to show you all the results over time. Also, if you want to check out my recent Syfe performance in March, then you do have to check out this video right here where I detail out the performance and the news during that time. With that, thank you for watching. My name is Christopher. This is Honey Money SG, steering young adults to financial independence.